Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, today, I'm going to look at one more animated fantasy film, at least until this coming summer. But first, let's talk about Hansel and Gretel. For those who don't know, this is a story about two young children who get abandoned in a forest, and later, they fall into the hands of an evil witch who intends to fatten the kids before eventually eating them. But thankfully, Gretel outwits the witch and kills her by pushing her into the oven. Afterwards, the two children escape with their lives and return home with the witch's treasures. Now, you guys may recall that I briefly talked about this fairy tale a couple times on my blog show, like when I blogged Mickey's House of Villains, which showed a cartoon where Mickey and Minnie Mouse played as the two children, and a year later, I blogged Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil, where Hansel and Gretel were villains. Plus, during my junior high age in spring 2004, I got to play as a rock star wolf in a staged musical version of the story. Also, I've seen several other Hansel and Gretel films. There was one from 1988, one from 2002, and there was Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters from 2013. However, the movie that I'll be vlogging today is an animated fairy tale comedy which came from Russia, where Hansel and Gretel portray as spies. Released to Netflix on March 25th, 2021, the movie is Secret Magic Control Agency. Now, on for the plot of the movie. In a fantasy kingdom, all magic is regulated by the Secret Magic Control Agency. One day, the king is abducted by sentient food enchanted with black magic. So, the SMCA appoints Agent Gretel along with her disowned brother and con artist Hansel, who the agency believes could contribute with his knowledge and abilities. So, the two agents, who later turn into children due to a potion accident, must use magic, clever thinking, and teamwork while on their mission, not only to find and rescue the missing king, but also put a stop to Elvira, the wicked witch of the gingerbread house. So, my thoughts on the movie? Well, I find this film to be a very entertaining film, but, like Red Shoes and the Seven Dwarfs, it's not as timeless as Shrek. Though, that's still going to be a topic for a later episode this year. But in the meantime, let's head over to Mustang Notes. The movie was produced in Russia by Wizard Animation, who's been giving us the CGI Snow Queen movies ever since 2012. Speaking of which, my pal Igor knows about Wizard, since his family is from both Russia and Ukraine. Anyway, the movie began development in 2018 during a press service when Wizard Animation revealed plans for a Hansel and Gretel movie. The scriptwriters stated adapting the classic European fairy tale was pretty complicated since it only had two settings, a gingerbread house and a dense forest. However, the opportunity was one of the scriptwriting team's creative challenges. The authors then explored the concept of a super agent school where the troublemaking children Hansel and Gretel would enroll in, as well as the idea of a spy film with super agents and the main characters being turned into children. The film then emphasized the detective component, revolving the story around the film's main setting, the Secret Magic Control Agency. The scriptwriters then reviewed films from the James Bond franchise, Kingsman, as well as the Soviet Union 1968 spy film, The Diamond Arm, for inspiration. Now, in my eyes, the CGI animation is pretty good. Despite some moments being pretty cartoony, I think it's equally as good as Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks. Plus, there are a few 2D animated moments that feel reminiscent to Steven Universe. Also, I find it interesting that the animators were influenced by director Tim Burton's ability to transform horror elements into charming characters, which were featured in such films like the stop-motion animated film Corpse Bride, which I should look at soon on my show. Plus, Some of my favorite moments in this movie is the potion room scene, which kind of feels similar to a scene from Shrek 2. And I think the Secret Magic Control Agency, while pretty similar to Hogwarts, is a pretty neat agency which regulates and monitors all magic activity. Makes me wonder if they're monitoring me, since I too am a user in magic, but only until March 13th of this year, when my theater friends conclude Once Upon a Mattress. Plus, I like several of the gadgets that are featured in this movie, plus several items that are on display at the Magic R&D division are pretty interesting, like Thor's hammer, Aladdin's magic lamp, the One Ring from the Lord of the Rings franchise, Pandora's box, and more. Also, while this is a pretty good spy film mixed with fantasy and comedy, I also like how the film focuses on the relationship and teamwork between siblings. And I like that Hansel and Gretel are children for a majority of the movie. Plus, they kind of remind me of me and my sister Sabrina, in a way. Anyway, that's all I got for Mustang notes. So let's move on to the characters and the voice actors that brought them to life. Let's start with Agent Gretel, voiced by Sylvana Joyce. But as a child, she's voiced by Courtney Shaw. Now, in my opinion, despite her cold, cocky, stubborn, and arrogant personality, Gretel is a charismatic leader who is strong-willed and knowledgeable, but also very ambitious at the same time. Plus, she's a civil employee who rose to acclaimed levels through education from a government scholarship. Plus, I like that Gretel is quick on her feet and she's very focused. Also, Gretel puts her duties above her own family. Speaking of which, I find it interesting that her parents used to be SMC agents, which gave Gretel the inspiration and determination to become the #1 best agent. Next is her brother, Hansel, voiced by Nicholas Korda, but as a child, he's voiced by Allison Leigh Rosenfeld. Hansel is a famous fraudster who uses false magic and tricks to make fun of people and get rich. To me, Hansel is a clever, sarcastic, and sneaky character, and I think he's pretty talented with illusions and deception. Plus, despite the fact that he and Gretel are mostly butting heads and bickering with each other, I like that Hansel has held no grudges against his own sister. And as their mission goes on, I like how Hansel and Gretel become more closer and connected, and I like that they make amends after realizing that their sibling bond was only lost due to a misunderstanding. We also have Cookie, the quirky puppy, vocalized by Tyler Bunch. Now, this is a character who started out as an antagonist, serving as a guard dog at the pastry shop. But after the potion explosion, Cookie becomes an adorable puppy who joins Hansel and Gretel on their mission. To me, aside from one plot point, which I never saw coming, Cookie doesn't really contribute much except for being an adorable ally / comic relief. Plus, I find it funny that he's covered in sprinkles. As for the other characters, we have Agent's stepmother, the head of the Secret Magic Control Agency, voiced by Georgette Riley, whom I remember as the English voice of Kara from the Pokemon Sinnoh series. Despite not having a lot of screen time, I find her to be a regional, strict, and a reasonable character. And I find her to be the kind of character with sense and honor. Plus, I like that she's counting on Hansel and Gretel to find and rescue the king before his upcoming birthday. Next we have Baba Yaga, a witch rumored to eat children, voiced by Mary O'Brady. In my eyes, Baba Yaga is a pretty eccentric character, and during Hansel and Gretel's mission, she tells them that the enchanted vanilla extract, which makes inanimate objects come to life, came from the swamplands. Also, I think her hut seems pretty similar to Howl's Castle from Howl's Moving Castle due to the chicken legs on the bottom. Moving on, we come to the Mermaid Queen, aka the Lake Witch, also voiced by Allison Leigh Rosenfeld. Now, despite the fact that she gave Hansel and Gretel a rude welcome due to her thinking that they were Elvira's spies, I like that she shows gratitude and hospitality to them as thanks for saving her daughter earlier in the movie. Plus, she tells them that Elvira is the one responsible for the king's disappearance. And I find it interesting that her mermaids have imprisoned several of Elvira's goons. The king is voiced by Mark Thompson, whom I talked about in 3 of my Pokemon movie blogs. Plus, he also got to voice in the 3rd Snow Queen movie and just recently Star Wars Visions. I find this guy to be a very ingenuous, naive ruler, sizable for sufficient imperiousness. Plus, he takes particular liking to many fine foods, and he enjoys holidays. Finally, we come to the movie's villain, Elvira, voiced by Erica Schroeder, whom I remember as the voice of Margot from Pokemon The Power of Us, Lady Eileen from Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, and the evil witch from Little Longnose. Elvira is the witch of the gingerbread house, who used to be the royal chef until she was banished for using black magic. And now, she seeks revenge against the whole kingdom by using enchanted cookies to make everyone who eats them fall in love with her. That way, she can marry the king and become queen. In my opinion, Elvira is a spiteful and power-hungry lady, and when she finds out that the SMCA is onto her scheme, she sends a giant Kolobok to squash Hansel and Gretel. And I also think that her cupcake goons are pretty similar to Gru's minions due to their design and their gibberish lingo. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Secret Magic Control Agency is a well-baked animated fairy tale spoof. The CGI animation is excellent. It has an engaging spy story, memorable characters, hilarious and fun moments, exceptional writing, and life lessons that promote teamwork, tolerance, and above all, sibling relationship. Also, I'm thankful to the folks in Russia for sharing this movie with us. And I highly recommend everybody to tune into Netflix and watch this movie with your siblings, parents, and children. And trust me, you'll all have a wonderful time. I give this movie a 91% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me next time where we ride out west with Tom and Jerry. Mustang Power.